Hey guys, this is Christian. I'm going to show you how to hardwire an Escort Max 360 with a mini add-a-circuit holder using the Passport SmartCord. Now what you're going to see right here, first off, I just picked this up at Pep Boys. You can get something very similar from any auto supply store. It's basically a small circuit, and if you can see this, there are two fuse holders. One will be for the fuse that it's meant for, and then the second slot, or slot B, is for the new accessory, which is going to be the Passport Max 360. Now why I have the Escort X50 here is this was my old Passport. Worked really well using the old SmartCord. Didn't want to buy a new one. The connector, however, was a little bit different. It came with an alligator clip so that you can splice the wire. In my WRX, I spliced it to the clock. That seems to be the most common place. What I did have to do here is just snip this piece off of the end and then splice on a new connector. So let's get in the car and see what's next. Okay, so we have a 2018 WRX STI Type RA, and I've seen a few 17s. Take a look at this, but basically how it's going to connect. First thing we want to do is take a look in the fuse box. This just pops right off, and get focus here. We're going to take a look at the audio Navi. It's a 10 amp. That's the fuse that we want to use for this, since it'll be running. We want it to make sure that it powers off. So that one, when the car's not running. So that one is, so it's going to be this guy right here. But we'll get to that part in a second. There's also, I'm going to have to dig underneath, but we're going to need to ground this, and there should be a ground underneath the dash. I haven't taken a look, but we'll check that in a second. First, though, what we do want to do is remove the paneling here, and then this A-pillar is going to pop off. You're going to notice on the A-pillar there's a yellow tab underneath it, and what that tab does is prevent this from jumping into your face should the airbag deploy. So we'll just basically run it underneath all this stuff. You definitely don't want it to cover the airbag when that pops out, should that ever happen. And we're going to run it across the headliner and down through the cable management system here, and then we'll just have a suction cup underneath the mirror. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is pop this side panel off and then run the cables through it. This is going to be a lot easier than what we had to do with my 2007. That was a little bit more challenging. A few more pieces had to be taken off. In fact, this whole bottom part of the dash had to come off for that. This does not need to be done. You can pretty much do everything right through this side panel. So what you're going to need is some plastic tool. This was actually for an iPhone repair kit. You can get anything similar to this. What you don't want to use is a piece of metal, like the end of a screwdriver. Maybe you can do something with that. I don't trust myself, so using plastic tools is just safer for your car. So I'm gonna kind of slide it under here. Oh, actually barely even needed that. So there seems to be a little hole right here. You can get your finger underneath, and you can just run it up, and it should just pop right off with 3 or 4 little plastic nubbies. Yep, 4 of them. And there's our hole that we're gonna run the wire through, and we're gonna run it up. Okay, so this hole is definitely long enough to be able to run the whole kit through, specifically this part. So what the way I'm going to start this is actually from the mirror. I'm going to gauge how long I need the cable to hang down behind the mirror here, and then run that across the headliner. I'm gonna turn the video off for this, but basically you can just very easily stuff this up inside, and it'll sit inside a little lip, a little tray, and then we'll run it down. I haven't decided yet, but I'll explain once I do it. If it's gonna run along the top here or underneath. Obviously you don't want to get away in the way of the airbag, but do want to make sure that it gets all the way down. So what I noticed here is this doesn't easily, because I haven't tried it, but it doesn't easily disconnect. So in the 07, this whole piece just pops right off. This, again, those yellow tabs, you can't do that, but I also don't see like an easy way to get the bottom piece, so it might need to mess around in there. So I'm taking a look at this a couple different ways. Looks like there's an area, it's gonna be really hard to see this, but there's a slot that runs just above where I'm assuming is the airbag deployment wiring harness is under there, that this cable can run up through there, and then along the top of the A-pillar, and then into the tray up here in the headliner. So what I'm gonna do is push it through there, right along the top, and kind of feed enough so that it hangs down. It's about 5 inches. What you notice is there's some cable management here. It just very easily slides down and then pulls forward a little bit, so that'll help make it look a little bit cleaner. Okay, so I've run the wiring through the A-pillar. Got probably good 6 inches hanging out there. What I did find is what I should have done, had I probably had more patience, is run it from here up through this small hole here. This shouldn't be a problem. It's not going to rest against the rest of the plastic, but I would have, in my neuroticism, liked it to come out of that hole anyway. So what I did instead is I'm giving myself probably another 8 inches of slack that I'm going to tuck into this, because I expect to actually tie it up inside to make it cleaner inside this left corner. So I'll give myself a little bit of slack here just in case I need to pull that out a little further, and it shouldn't be too much of a challenge to do that. But as you can see, I didn't have to remove this gasket, and this A-pillar just popped right back in. So it's really clean right now, and I'm just gonna hang upside down. In any Subaru owner will know how uncomfortable this is, but I'm gonna swing upside down here and look for a ground and see what we can do. It should be a 10 millimeter. Most of them are, so let's take a look. All right, so this is gonna be a little awkward, but I am literally just hanging upside down into the dash. Under the dash, you see the steering column is that right there. So if I follow the steering column towards the steering wheel, you're gonna see this piece of metal. On either side there's a 10 mil. I think this will work good as a ground. I don't really see anything else that I would want to do that to, but I think this will work. This will work well. So I'm just going to quickly pop that off and stick my ground wire on there and pop it back on. Okay, so I am ready to do first test. I've got the ground done to that spot. Quick note, it was not a 10 millimeter. In fact, it was an 8 millimeter. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out this 10 amp fuse right here. Quick tip, I'm assuming I don't know if everybody knows this, but if you go to your fuse box in your trunk, right in this slot is a little fuse clip. That's what you use to pull out fuses. So I'm going to pull out this 10, and we're going to stick it into, or rather we're going to put this guy into that slot, and then we're going to stick a new 10 amp fuse into the top. The top one is, actually I'm going to check the instructions before I say that, but I'll explain what's happening in just a second as soon as I pull this fuse out. So we pulled that fuse out, and again, just for the record, we're pulling out this 10 amp for audio Navi right here. And the instructions for this particular model show that fuse slot B is at the top, fuse slot A is at the bottom. What they want you to do is test a fuse slot B. So basically put one of the 10 amps that it comes with a bunch of them, 5, 7, 8, and 10, I think. Sorry, 7.5 and 10. And what you're gonna do is basically put the 10 into the top, push this in, see if it lights up the radar. If it does, great. If it doesn't, you basically flip it upside down and test it again. So we're gonna give it a shot. Okay, so now we are ready to give it a shot. I've got my fuse in there, in that same slot, running across the headliner. Nice clean look. Suction cup mount, the new magnet mount. So we're just gonna tap the accessory, and we're gonna tap. There we go. So what I did, what you're not seeing is I did end up having to switch it over. It was facing the other way, facing down. So now I'm going to take it out. What you'll notice, of course, is my radio's not working. So I'm going to put the second fuse back in and get it all going. Okay, so now that everything is running properly, I have my wires kind of dangling down. Because what we're going to do is run it up through the back side of this, probably on this side, and have the controller just come right through here. This is where I had it on my other car. Just reaching forward is pretty convenient over having to reach up. Some people mount it to the bottom, but this is very sloped, so it'd kind of be a far reach, and I don't like anything permanent. So this unscrews really easily. Every model's been the same as far as I remember. It's gonna be 2 Phillips heads at the top of this. It should pop right out. Yep, like I said, just a minor force, very little force, was able to get it out. If you look right here, it looks like there's plenty of space, so I'll be able to run the controller straight through there. Okay, so ran it through. What you are gonna need, luckily I happened to just use this thing a little bit ago. I have no idea what it's called. Snaky grabby thing. It's wonderful. It's got a little button on the end. I'll show you right here. Hold on the button, grab the thing. Works wonders. You could probably do it with a coat hanger too. This is just way easier. Pull it up through that little space here, and when you pop on this, sorry, it's a little jittery here, but you want this to kind of just come and sit on top. Okay, so I'm just going to pop plastic pegs in place and close it up. We got the in front, quick access to mute it, power to the Escort Max 360, stereo's working.
Put on it on
okay, yep.
a regular basis, although
that works. We tidied up down here. I ended up twist tying some of the cables so you can't obviously see any of it. Closed all that up. Oh, and I forgot to close that. So let's get that piece in. And it's starting to drizzle, so it looks like we did this just in time. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this will make doing a hardwire a little less intimidating. Again, 2018 WRX STI Type RA. Thanks a lot.